that noise is. So, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zach, the Celtics guy here. I'm doing a little chit chat stream before I go hang out with a good friend of mine in town. I'm actually gonna go see him and hang out with him in a little bit. So I just want to tide you guys over with the stream. So I'm gonna do like a little sit and chat stream with you guys, and then when I come back later, I'm gonna play some more games and do some wedding dash and so forth. So I'm almost to the level. So I basically had to, I like that last level I played last night was so fucking hard. I was getting so aggravated with it. So what I had to do is I was just like, all right, screw this. I'll just play it like later, like off stream. And I actually beat the level. And I only have one more level to go, and then I beat Wedding Dash. I'm gonna beat the game again. I'm gonna beat the game again. I know it's earlier stream than normal, but I wanted to stream a little bit for you guys before I go out and hang out with one of my good friends who lives in town. It's his name is Todd. He's actually a full-time mechanic. Been meaning to hang out with him for a while, but he's been so busy, and he finally has time to hang out. So I'm just like, hell yeah, dude. Speaking of hard, you probably play games like Cuphead. I haven't played Cuphead in a long time, but I'd love to play it though. I'd love to play it again. I've seen Silent Rob play that. I've seen Silent Rob play it like a shit ton. So I'm gonna get like a half-hour chill out Q&A with you guys before I go out and hang out with my friends. So tonight we'll get right into the games when I get back later. Won't be too long, only like a couple hours. So if you guys are around like 9:30, quarter of 10 Eastern time, Massachusetts time, then we'll be playing the games early. Or if you live in different time zones, then time zone, schmime zones, y'all know how that shit goes. You all know how that shit goes. Y'all know how that shit goes when it comes to things like time zones and everything else. My country, the Pogo Islands, actually has 2 time zones. No, three rather. Pagosian Western Time, Pagosian Central Time, and Pagosian Eastern Time. UTC plus 300, UTC plus 400, and UTC plus 500. Like UTC plus 3 o'clock, UTC plus 4 o'clock, and then UTC plus 5 o'clock. That's like the time zones in the Arabian Sea, because that's where the Pogo Islands is actually located. So, Pogo Islands actually, so the Pogo Islands is actually in, I have it located in Asia, for that matter. So I was also thinking we could sit and chat about some laws that I've done, because I know that I'm sure you all are pretty interested in that. Let's see. No, I haven't heard about that one particular thing. Could you survive a plant-based vegetarian diet for a week? I mean, maybe. I try not to eat too much meat because I like to be vegetarian, but sometimes, guys, it's just hard. It's just hard. It's just hard to be a vegetarian, like an actual, like, non-meat-eating vegetarian. I know, like, saying you're a meat-eating vegetarian is kind of an oxymoron, because it's hard to be one. I don't know, it's just hard to be one for some reason. I don't know. Make sure you hit that bell button, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I've been doing a lot of laws recently about, like, criminal acts behind the wheel of a car. Northern Ireland Code of Laws, Title 29, been doing that a lot. Statutory Code of the North Island, Title 17, been doing that. Sky Islands laws recently. There's 16 islands in the Pogo Islands. Central Island is another island I've been doing. The Central Island has probably the strictest, probably one of the strictest laws in the Pogo Islands out of all of them. every island has its own governor, premier, which is like the Anglo-Saxon way of saying lieutenant governor, essentially. What's up, Dark Reaper? How you doing, man? That's that's basically that way to say it. So let's see. I've got that. I've got all sorts of different. I've got a bunch of different laws here, and that's how it would be if it was up to me. That's how the laws would be. The laws would be as follows if it was up to me. That's basically how this shit goes. The Pogo Islands does have a military, yes. The Pogo Islands Commonwealth Armed Forces. And we are very strict on animal welfare and the environment. I have this thing called one of the most effective laws when dealing with violent crime. It's called lifelong monitoring on the Central Island for severe violent offenders and severe sex offenders. Basically, it's an indeterminate sentence where you can be kept in prison beyond your original sentence, split between a minimum, because there's a general range for felony categories. There's a general range, then there's an aggravated range, and then an especially aggravated range. The especially aggravated range includes up to life in prison. So basically, the general range is for simple crimes, and then the aggravated range is for violent crimes and crimes that pose a grave danger to society, like things like child abuse, stalking, voyeurism, unlawfully recording someone without their consent, things like that. Basically, just any crime that poses a danger to society. Violent crimes pose a danger to society, including assault, misdemeanor assault, sexual abuse, most sex crimes, things like that. Those are the types of crimes that receive penalties that are much more severe as opposed to crimes in other cases. So that's basically what that is. And what I believe is that there should be lifelong monitoring, because there's no parole for violent crimes. There's no parole for what they call crimes of a violent nature. Meaning that on the Pagosian Central Island, and this is how my laws are based on, you're convicted of a violent crime, there's the minimum range, and then there's the minimum range, the general range, and then there's the maximum range. The minimum range is double compared to what the minimum would be in other cases. The general range is at least the midway point range between the minimum and maximum in simple cases, and then the maximum is extended up to 3 times the severity of the original maximum as opposed to simple cases. And if it's a category 4 felony, crime of violence or higher, or sex crime that's category 4 felony or above, it can extend up to life in prison. So lifelong monitoring means you can be kept in prison or remain on probation for life. So that's basically what that is. You can be kept in prison for life or on probation for life. Monitoring means in prison or on probation. So lifelong monitoring can mean lifelong prison sentence or a lifelong sentence of electronic tagging. Basically, that's what that is. There's category 1 felonies, category 2 felonies, category 3 felonies, category 5, category 6, and category 7. Category 7 being the least serious, category 1 being the most serious. Category 1 is a minimum of life in prison and a maximum of death. And if it's an aggravated category 1 felony, like first-degree murder, treason, or terrorism, death penalty is mandatory. It's punished by death. The penalty is only death. Pogo Islands is a country that I created. It's a country that's based on what the laws would be like if it was up to me. If you've seen any of my older videos, or some of my legal lessons, like the one I did on the Navy Islands laws, where if you drive 100 miles an hour or more, or 30 miles an hour or more greater than the speed limit, I will revoke your license and order your vehicle be forfeited at the roadside for a year, unless a longer period of revocation is provided under another statutory law elsewhere, such as DUI, DWI, fleeing the police, or driving while revoked or suspended. And then category 7 felony is 2 to 2.5 years in prison, but you still face at least $1,000 in fines. Pogo Island dollars. Pogo Islands dollars. This is my creation right here, folks. Because this is what the laws should be like. So yes, I think of violent crime, you should serve nothing less than the midway range. Because the midway range is what you have to serve even before they consider you to go about on lifelong monitoring in the community. You might not even get it. You might not even get it. You might not even get lifelong monitoring, especially. Even a simple robbery could get you under lifelong monitoring. Do you think violent criminals and sex offenders can be trusted? Absolutely not. They need to remain under an indeterminate sentence, either in prison or on probation, up to the rest of their life. That's how it goes. That's how the Central Island goes. I mean, I could talk about all the laws of all 16 of my islands I created, but don't have a lot of time to go about that. But here's just a snippet of it. It's just a snippet of it. And it's just a different thing I wanted to talk about. Do you want to ally with my country? It's called Dekniklovania. And my brother came up with it, and I'm the king, while my brother is the head of the army. Hell yeah, Pogo Islands and Dekniklovania. Let's sign a diplomatic agreement with King Zach and Queen Sally. Let's sign the agreement. Let's sign the agreement. Let's all sign the agreement with all the governors and everything else. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Yes, the Pogo Islands is one of my made-up countries. Is my made-up country. We also have, funny enough, Pogo Islands is also a neutral country for that matter too. I know, it's kind of isolationist, kind of like my beliefs. Because the Pogo Islands is just based on all my beliefs, whether it's on crime, whether it's on social issues. It's obviously LGBT friendly. For an Asian nation, it's very LGBT friendly. Obviously, a gay man creating it, of course it's going to be LGBT friendly. Clean, you know. Yeah, Pogo Islands, we don't play. How would you like to be our ally, citizen of Federal Republic of Somalia? Now I got you guys creating fictional countries. Now I got my fans creating it. Go to Google Docs and make your laws, everybody. Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's create our own laws right here. I tell my mom about these all the time. She loves them. She loves them, but she gets a kick out of them too. No, you should serve at least the midway point range for a violent felony up to the rest of your life. If you pose a danger to society, they can keep you in prison beyond the prison sentence you originally got. So say, for example, you're convicted of an armed robbery. Armed robbery is a Category 3 felony. So you face a minimum of no less than double the original range, up to 3 times the severity for that same class, up to the rest of your life. So it ranges from 20 to 60 years in prison or life. So let's say if you get like the lower end of the stick, you get 32 years. You get like 32 minimum, but you have to serve, wait a minute, no, 32. 20 to 60. The midway range would be 40. So you'd have to serve at least 40 out of the 60 years before you can even be considered to be placed on lifelong monitoring. So let's say 32 years in prison for an armed robbery resulting in severe bodily harm. They originally say in court 32 years in the Central Island Penitentiary in the custody of the Central Island Correctional Services. But that sentence is 32 to life because it can extend up to life. So say someone 32 years ago was up for lifelong monitoring today and they went before the Parole and Probation Service, if they still felt they were a threat to society, they can still keep them in prison. Because 32 years, the original sentence you get in the discretion of the court is an indeterminate range because it ranges from X amount of years up to life. It extends up to the rest of the person's life. Or even if a person's convicted of incest, it's a Category 4 felony punished by no less than the midway range for that sentencing charge. The minimum's 5 years, the maximum is 10. So the midway between X and that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it'd be 8 years. So basically it'd be 7, 8, 7 years. Wait, 5, 6, 7. What's the midway between 5 and 10? 5, 6, 7, 8. At least the midway range would be 8 years. We'll just say 8 years. 8 years for incest, maximum life because it's a sex offense and it's a Category 4 felony. Okay, so I might want to caution some people in here because I might be talking about some serious crimes. It might get a little graphic from time to time. So just so just bear with me here. I know you guys are cool about that. Yeah, anybody wants to make a fictional country, you are more than welcome to align with the Pogo Islands. You all are welcome. I accept alliances. Let's join an alliance together. Let's all join an alliance together. We'll all join in an alliance together. And the reason I'm talking about the Pogo Islands in my country, because this is what I do on my spare time. This is what I do with creative writing. This is what I do on my spare time when I'm chilling at home and I'm just relaxing at home on my day off and so on and so forth. This is what I do. This is even what I do on my lunch break at work. I mean, this is what I do. I have Google Docs on my phone. I have Google Docs. It's all on Google Docs. It's all on Google Docs. The Pogo Island zone is actually on the equator. It's actually on the equator. Let me see if I can load up one of them. So 10 to 20 years for a simple Category 3 felony would be 20 to 60 years. If it's a violent crime, it would be 20 to 60 years because it's doubled the minimum range, 3 times the severity. And if you get anything more than the minimum, you would have to serve at least the midway range of that sentencing, which would be 40 years. So expect decades in prison if you're convicted of some of these serious offenses, including kidnapping. The only crimes that are exempt from this rule is kidnapping by liberating someone completely unharmed within 24 hours, or an arson of an inhabited structure where the person actually made it out alive and unharmed. But even then, a person convicted of kidnapping or arson where a person was made it out unharmed, you still face as much as 40 years in prison and a fine up to $2 million. Because the maximum for a Category 2 felony in simple cases is 40 years, minimum 20. And if it's a violent crime, it's 40 to 80 years. And on the especially aggravated range, it's 48 to 99 years. It's 48 to 99. That would include like armed robbery with a firearm, or kidnapping with a firearm, or arson with a firearm, or arson with an explosive device or substance, even if the person was not harmed. They will face between 48 to 99 years. And if they cause grievous bodily harm, you cause a kidnapped victim bodily injury, or an arsonist or an arson victim bodily injury, you could face the death penalty and face life in prison. How's that illogical? That's not illogical. The Pogo Islands' method of execution is hanging. You can, in the discretion of the judge on some islands, including the Sky Island, Northern Island, and West Island, the judge can choose between hanging and guillotine. And on the West Island, the Blue Island, they can choose between hanging and firing squad. But the primary method of execution is is hanging. Hanging, for that matter. So, I don't think these penalties are illogical. So, we'll just give an example. Kidnapping, even in the best case scenario, kidnapping in the 3rd degree where you liberate the person unharmed, completely unharmed within 24 hours, 10 to 15 years. And that's the minimum. It's doubled. The maximum is double. Wait a minute. So it's 5 to 10 years. Double that. Wait a minute. No. It would be 5 to 10. Okay, so we would do that. So it would be 5 to 10. So even in the most, you still face anywhere from 5 years to life in prison. Even in the most mitigated cases. Because kidnapping is not a mitigated crime. It's not a mitigated crime, just like arson is not a mitigated crime. But even in the like least serious cases, you still should face decades in prison, and you will. You will. Especially when there's other aggravated circumstances, like if there was a weapon involved, the kidnapping was committed for the purposes of human smuggling or financial or sexual exploitation. In those cases, you face between 16 to 32 years in prison for that, 20 to 60 years in prison if there was a robbery involved, 40 to 80 years if there was a firearm involved. And if it was an armed robbery, you face 40 to 99 years. If it's an armed robbery committed during a kidnapping, it's life. 40 to 99 to life. Well, it can be life because it's a kidnapping is a violent crime and is also a grave danger offense. So you face between that and that. And if the kidnapped victim was injured, death or life in prison. If the kidnapped victim died, death penalty is mandatory because it's murder. Then it becomes murder and then you face death. So, hey, there's certain people that just, crimes are so serious, they do not deserve to walk freely with the rest of us. Because they have shown that they are a continuing threat to society and it's not worth public safety or taxpayer dollars to keep them around. It's not worth it. There's certain people in society that do not deserve to be kept around. There's no benefit or gain to keeping them around with the rest of us. It's just not worth it. They're too much, they're a continuing threat to society. Especially like kidnappers and arsonists and stuff like that. No, that stuff, even assaulting someone, causing them serious injury, I would extend up to like 32 years. 32 years, if a deadly weapon was involved, it should be up to 60 years. I know these penalties sound harsh, but, you know, it would be nice if we actually would have these penalties because maybe people would think twice before they do it. But by definition, they're called criminals for a reason. So see, that's what it is. What would the penalties for vigilante justices? Well, vigilante justice would involve things like rioting and assault, so it would depend on what the underlying offense would be. So it really would just depend on the circumstances. It basically just varies depending on the circumstances and whether or not and all that other stuff. But yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that, bro. You bring drawing and quartering back. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. You know what's funny? Wait a minute. Let me just check something really quick. Well, it depends on the vigilante justice. I'm not talking about people that are just out there taking matters in their own hands. I'm talking about the most serious, I'm talking about the people who are vigilantes and they go out and they're rioting and destroying shit. That's the stuff I'm talking about. Oh, I figured that was you, Gage. For a second, I didn't recognize that. Provided evidence existed to suggest it was warranted. Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny, dude. I almost didn't recognize your name. When it said totally not Gage, I almost thought that was like a clone or a bot or something. I'm sorry. Because I didn't see you on Gage the Loudmouth, so I thought that was a because I get so many fucking trolls in here. I get so many of them, and it's kind of hard to tell. But I know it's you, dude. Like people who slip through the system due to lack of proper conviction. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that they should do, like rehabilitation and drug rehabilitation and community-based programming and all that other stuff. Zach, is it okay if I send some military advisors to the programs to help transfer your military units to my country? We take our military and science very seriously. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. With that, the Pogo Islands is here. I've told a lot of my friends. I've told Ryan all about it. I've told Steven all about it. I've told everybody. I've told my mom, my dad, my grandparents. Everyone knows about the Pogo Islands. If you know me well enough, I do. Yeah, your archive account, that's what I thought. The Lovecraftian people are honored that we are aligned with you. Well, I'm glad to be aligned with you too. The Pogo Islands is aligned with the West, but we're also aligned with the East. That's another thing. Prime Minister Sir Sebastian Stevenson with Queen Sally and Sultan Zach. Or Deputy Prime Minister. Or basically Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah, sometimes they're necessary. Yeah, in the Pogo Islands, we've got regional sheriffs, which are like the supervisors for each region. The island-wide police, and then we got the National Police Service, the National Offense Investigation Service, which is like the equivalent of like the FBI, for example. Simple as that. The island-wide police rare, then there's the island-wide police that are there. Hey, Queen, how you doing? Talk about the Pogo Islands here. Doing some, I'm doing a little chill-out stream before I'm actually heading out, hanging out with one of my friends in a little bit. Probably gonna head out in about 10 minutes or so. So, I'm good. I got back from walking. I actually went walking with my mom earlier. And I'm home chilling. I had some leftover calzone from a place down the street. It was actually pretty good. Yeah, and there's also tough penalties for speeding as well and serious traffic violations. Also, don't speed in the Pogo Islands either. Speed in the Pogo Islands is going to cost you a lot too. The Pogo Islands is mostly tropical rainforest. It's either tropical rainforest or just like tropical savanna. It's taking some of my vitamin D3 here. And don't be a driver to endanger. That'll also cost you. Otherwise known as a reckless driver. Drive too fast for road conditions, that's going to cost you as well. Because the posted speed limit is only meant for ideal conditions. So if a tropical thunderstorm hits, or heavy rain, or fog, or haze, you need to adjust your speed accordingly, or else Officer Zach will stop you and give you a hefty fine. And you're not going to talk yourself out of that ticket. When it comes to red lights and yellow lights and things like that, depends. It depends on the circumstances. Yellow light, you go through it, you don't see it, and it's just a yellow light that turned red at the last second. We've all done that. I might just give you a warning. But if you blast through a red light or a stop sign and you almost cause an accident, you can guarantee that I'm going to give you a ticket, and again, there's no talking your way out of that ticket. Absolutely not. School zones and work zones are specially protected areas. Additional $100 fine added to the original base fine. Up to 3 times the severity of the original base fine. Up to $1,000, depending on the island. The Aqua Island is the most discretionary island because it's a Commonwealth island. So laws are based on the common law, essentially. Imagine what happens to be alien and from different planets. Also happens to be some extraordinary abilities. Yeah, I know, right? No, because I also think, but here's what we have to do. We have to make it the best of both worlds. We also need to crack down and give hefty fines to the left lane hoggers. Y'all know who those people are. Or right lane hoggers if you are from the UK or live in an Anglo-Saxon nation. The Pogo Islands drives on the right side, so left lane passing only. Yes, you do that, you deserve a hefty fine. But if you also, but I'm not going to sit there and condone driving triple digits. Because I'm of the belief that if you drive triple digits, you deserve to lose your license immediately. You deserve to lose your license immediately. On the Blue Island, your license gets confiscated immediately and your vehicle gets towed and impounded, even if you're 25 miles over the speed limit. Once you're 25 over the speed limit, you're automatically revoked and confiscated at the roadside. Your vehicle, your license gets confiscated. And you're booked into what we call a public prosecution, aka a mandatory court date. The Navy Island revokes you for a year if you drive over 100 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour greater than the speed limit or more. So like if you drive 95 in a 65 or 97 in a 65, but if you're the same person who drives 105 in a 70 will do the same thing. You'll go license revoked for a year automatically at the roadside, and the vehicle gets forfeited for a year. So, and I also am of the belief in the Pogo Islands, if your license is suspended, which is temporary, and then if your license is revoked, it's considered long-term, indeterminate, or permanent. If your license is suspended or revoked, you don't get to keep your vehicle. Your vehicle gets impounded or forfeited for the duration of the suspension. So you know what that means, right? However long your vehicle's an impound, you have to pay like $5.99 a month for like 6 months, or $5.99 a month, depending on how long it's in there for. If it's in there for like 30 days, it'll be like maybe like $5.99 a day or something. I don't know. But this is what you deserve. You deserve these penalties. That's what it is. If you choose to endanger yourself and everybody around you, you need to pay heavily, including losing your vehicle for a year. Losing your vehicle for 1 year and losing your license for a year. And you can count on not getting your license for a year, back for a year, minimum. No limited driving privileges, no early compassionate release, no nothing. Drive triple digits, you lose your license and your vehicle for 1 year, minimum 1 year. And if you were street racing or stunt driving, then it's going to be for 18 months. How about that? How about that? Would law enforcement hire people from the outside law to wrangle people they'd have a hard time capturing? Well, it would depend. I mean, we have city, local, we have local police, we also have regional police and stuff like that. Would you arrest any extremists? No, unless they were committing like acts of terrorism or threats. No. The Pogo Islands is a champion of free speech. We believe in free speech, and you can also own guns as well in the Pogo Islands too. Pogosians are very heavily armed and trained, but there becomes the common sense gun laws, which makes sense. You have the right to own weapons as long as you are not a convicted criminal, have a history of mental illness, or you don't have mental illness. So other than that, you can have weapons. But what I was saying is, and also, once your license is suspended or revoked, you have 24 hours to surrender your license. Because you shouldn't keep a suspended or revoked license, because once that license is suspended or revoked, whether it's temporary or long-term or indeterminate or permanent, it's no longer a valid document. So it's like fraud. People will use a suspended or revoked license for fraud. And so this is to prevent shit like fraud from happening. So if you're caught possessing a suspended or revoked license, yeah, there's going to be a warrant out for your arrest. Sorry, I think that's that. This is what I believe, people. This is what I believe. Pogo Islands is a neutral country. Is there a limit to who can visit or not? No, you can visit. There's borders and things like that. There's necessary borders and things like that. You guys are awesome in the chat. No, Patrick's not going to be a cop. But yeah. And then once your suspension or revocation period ends, then you have to reapply for a new license. You don't get to keep your revoked or suspended license. It's not a valid document. Surrender it or you go to jail. Simple as that. If you possess a fraudulent document, you're committing a crime and you need to be arrested and go to jail. Because that's what happens when you commit fraud or you have a valid document. That's what happens. You go to jail. Would modified weapons be legal? Depends on depends on what you mean by that. What other questions do you guys have for the laws here? We've got all sorts of different things. We also got severe laws on repeat offenders. It's called count to 3. There will not be a 4. Commit your third violent crime or severe crime, you will go to prison for a severely long time, up to life, or depending on what the crime is, it could be death, depending. Does Lovecraft have a military? Yes. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, you said it best. Well, I'm going to be getting going in a few minutes. So does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask me? I will be back. I will be back later tonight for sure. I will be streaming my games. One of the Pogo Islands, can me and CJ have our own area where we can have a mansion, a horse farm to make a riding stable out of? Yes. I recommend anywhere in the central Pogo Islands. Central Pogo Islands tends to be the most rural. Well, also the western Pogo Islands. The eastern Pogo Islands is a little more slightly or more urban. Although the Aqua Island and the western Pogo Islands, well, no, it's actually in the central Pogo Islands. It's like a gateway between the west and the east. So you might want to pick the Aqua Island or the Cerulean Island, whichever island makes you happy. So whichever island you guys want to pick. The Aqua Island, Azure Island, Blue Island, Cerulean Island, Central Island, East Island, Sky Island, South Island, Turquoise Island, Teal Island. Teal Island is also very rural. But it's a small island, but it's very rural. So, whichever one you want. Pick it. Pick it. Buy your house. Buy your mansion. Central Island would work the best and probably able to run a running stable. Okay, Central Island it is. Okay, there you go. Central Island as well, but you don't got to worry about the strict laws, Queen, because you're a law-abiding person. You're a law-abiding citizen. Can I have an island where we eat at McDonald's every day? Well, the Pogo Islands has McDonald's. We have things all over the world. I was going to Pogo Islands or diplomatic relations. Which island would I go to? The Northern Island, where the Pogosian capital of Black and Blue City is. The federal territory is in the Northern Island, so you'd want to go to the Northern Island for that. The Indigo Island is the home of the entertainment industry, aka Bluewood, which is where the Zachary shows are based out of. Oh man, I'm really expanding on this stuff. I know you guys like it, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad that I can expand on this stuff with you guys, because you guys rock. Patrick would like a Krusty Krab on the islands. Okay, well, if you want a Krusty Krab, then so be it. You can open it up. The Pogo Islands is business friendly. You want to invest in the Pogo Islands and get a Krusty Krab, then okay, go ahead and have at it. So I will be streaming Wedding Dash and other games here in a little bit. I'll be back in probably a few hours, but expect me around like 10-ish your time, depending. But either way, I will be back for sure tonight. Stay tuned. The capital of my country is called Bustiland. All my allies are welcome. That's cool. So, thank you to everybody who stopped by for this little short stream for a nice chill and chat and expansion on the Pogo Islands and my country. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate it a lot. It means a lot. But thank you to everybody who came by. I may pop by if I can. Okay. Yeah, anybody who can pop by, feel free to do so. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. And I will catch you guys in a little bit. I'll catch you guys in a couple hours. I will be back tonight. I'm going to go chill with my friend for a little bit in town, and I will be back. See you all again in a little bit. To be continued. Bye for now, and peace out.